Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we're going to get back on this Fruit of the Spirit journal. And so here's what I've got. I've got these cut out, and these little ones cut out from that one whole page. I cut my tabs out, and I need to score those. So I think what I will do, I think I'll go ahead and work on these. I need to do something on the backs of these, and I think I'm just going to do some stenciling. So let me grab some stencils and get busy on that. Okay, I grabbed my distress inks and some stencils, and I'm just going to, my main thing is I don't want to have white on the back of any of these. Now these, I think I'm going to probably glue them onto a tag, and it just because it's more fun, I get to use up my papers, and so I won't do the backs on these. I'm just going to do these three. So let's see, and I'm just kind of grabbing some random. This is fossilized amber, and I like to do two colors. I think I'll do aged mahogany on the other one, so hopefully I can keep these separate because they're very different. I think, let me see, if I turn it this way, I think I'll get better coverage. And okay. Oh, and I got a little bit on the other ones too, so. All right, let's see. So I'm going to change my colors out. I hope everybody's having a good day today, doing some crafting or just sitting around drinking your coffee and watching videos or whatever it is you're doing. We've got rain again. It seems like every time I shoot videos, it pours down rain. We got an inch yesterday. Let's see, I've got, so that was chipped sapphire. And what do I want? I'll do wilted violet. And let's see, I've got some really crazy stencils here, but that's all right. Something different. I don't use them that often because they're sort of just a little, I don't know, modern, or they're not vintagey so much as they are. Let's see, did I get the, oh well, we'll find out. And lay my lay my stencil back where it goes. Ooh. Okay. And put that away. It's kind of, I kind of have to get a grip because I like to do things quickly, and I like to get like a lot of production quickly, and so I have to realize that this is time to be calm and slow down and enjoy the process, and don't worry about how quickly it's going to get done. I'm going to do crushed olive because I love this combination with I'll say Lucky Clover, one of the bluish green inks. And here's a nice big stencil so I don't have to turn it sideways. Oh, that's not even going to reach. All right, well, I'll just start kind of, that'll work. Okay, so I'm doing like 3 bands of that one, and then I'll do 3 bands of the olive. Okay, and if need be, I'll put a piece of washi tape on the bottom of that one. So now I'm going to put these away, and we'll come back And I'm going to do, oh, we're going to do the notepad. So I'll be right back. I have several papers here, and I'm going to cut my sheets of paper for my notepad. Here's the piece that was a scrap from, not a scrap, but a piece from one of the other pages that we've already worked on. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And you'll get your scoreboard out. And then we're going to cut our paper or tear it, and I'll give you the kind of general size it needs to be to fit into the journal. Here's one of the signatures, so I'm going to take my ruler. And so this notepad is going to be 4 3/4 inches wide. So you want your paper to be about 4 1/2. That gives you a little bit where it comes in on the sides from this top piece. So 4 1/2 inches wide. And if it's up here at the top, you want your paper to be 7 1/2, no more than 7 1/2. So 4 1/2 by 7 1/2. Let me write that down somewhere. With all the scrap paper, you'd think I wouldn't have a problem finding a place to write something down, but 4 1/2 by 7 1/2. So that's my limit. So I'm going to take my papers, which I have some tea dyed or coffee dyed, just regular copy paper. And let me see how many pieces I can get out of this. So if I have, let's see. So it's going to have to go 7 1/2 this way, 4 1/2. I can get more than one, so I'll mark 4 1/2 and 4 1/2. And see if these are the same size. Not. Nope. All right. They are this direction, so I'm going to go ahead and mark my marks there. And I think I'll just tear them off here in a minute. So I'm using all kinds of scrap paper here, as you can see. So here's a piece I can cut up. Cut that. And I'll go ahead and use the graph side on this. So let me mark it. I'm not being super precise, as you can see, but precise enough. Let's see, and maybe pink. So I'm going to use the back side of this piece. Oh, okay. I need to mark 2 pieces on this one too, so. See how different. Wow, okay, so that's interesting. How different the marks are already. Once you go from one to another one and another one to use for measuring, you want to pretty much keep that original one as your measuring point. It'll be more accurate. Okay, so there's some paper. So I'm going to get my cutter. So I use this doll, I guess that's how you say it, doll paper cutter. Okay, so I've got my papers, and I'm going to alternate. I'm going to put that one on top because it's a pretty one, and then alternate my paper. See, I kind of want the graph paper to show. And pink. And I'll do another graph paper, and then the pretty paper again, yellow, graph, pink. And then I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile, but first I need to score this top. So let me get my scoreboard. All right, and so if you look on one end, there's little tiny marks. First of all, you're going to mark it right in the middle, and this is 2.5 inches. Oh, it's in here. This is 2.5 inches wide, so you want halfway, you want the middle, so that'd be 1 1/4. So this is the line for the center. And then if you look, there are little marks there that put you in the middle of those two. And oops, am I gonna get a straight line? I'm gonna put it up against the edge. Unfortunately, that mark lines up with one of the places on this thing. Pretty close. So I'm gonna use those. Hope that works out. And so fold it in half and then fold it up on those folds toward the middle. They should be just slightly smaller, so they should fit up in there just fine, like that. And then we're going to take, I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile, and I'm going to put my paper in there. I keep repeating myself. I know you guys, if you've watched my videos very much, you've heard this a million times, but I always have new people watching, so I'll say it again. The Crop-A-Dile is not my favorite. I don't like it to put, for putting the grommets in. I use the old regular third world grommet set from Amazon with a hammer. They look better, but I do like the Crop-A-Dile for punching through several layers of paper. It's amazing for that. So I am glad I have it. Let's see. So I've brought everything up to this end, and I'm going to put it inside of this top piece like this, and make sure it's centered more or less, side to side. Oops, easier said than done. There. Okay, make sure it's pushed in there all the way. And then this cool thing about the Crop-A-Dile is it has kind of these measuring things that you can set. And so I'm going to use the small one. There's a small one and a big one. I'm going to use the smaller one, and I've already kind of got it set. So I might move it back just a little bit. And so you can go from side to side and make sure you've got it exactly the same distance from the edge. So I'm going to center it top to bottom and punch my hole, which it doesn't even blink about. So that's lovely. And then put this in here on the other side, exactly the same distance because of this marker. And punch that hole. And then it's ready to have ribbon put in it. So let me pick out a ribbon. Let's see. Let's see. I feel like it's kind of, yeah, more like that color. My husband is always getting on to me about trying to hold everything in my hands instead of laying things down and doing them. And so there's 2 feet. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And if we have to trim some off, we will. But it just seems like that was what we had before. So I'll let you know here in a minute if that's the right amount. So, oh, I cut my fingernails off because I was outside using black mulch, and it got all over my fingernails and hands, and so I ended up just, oh yeah, that's going to be way too much. Okay, and so I cut my fingernails off, and that's not good when you're crafting. Okay, let's see if I can grab it. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to tie this in a knot just because it's easier to tie the bow if the knot's already in it. You're not trying to hold it and keep it tight and everything else and tie a bow. You can always untie this and fill it back up if you want to, too. So that's kind of cool. Refillable. All right. Let me pull it smaller. All right. And then I'm going to trim this off. And then let me measure this and I can tell you how many inches you need. So I have about 4 inches too much. This will go into my scrap box. So instead of 24 inches, you need 20 inches. If you do it like that. Okay, so there's your notepad. And then we're gonna tear off on the bottom my tearing ruler out here. And I said that my limitation was, let me put this away. Here's my tearing ruler. The limitation is 7.5. So it needs to be right about there. Let me tear one and then I'll have a guide. And actually, probably should have done the bottom piece instead of the top piece. Oh well, I think I can do 2 there. And I'm going to move it just a little bit. I don't want them all exactly the same. And I'll flip this over and use this one too, just to make it a little bit different. A lot of the things I do are just me with trial and error. So if you see me do stuff and you know a better way, please put it in the comments. Some people have done that and has been so helpful for me. I don't claim to know everything about this by any means, so feel free. Okay, so there is our notepad. And I'm going to look at my signatures here, figure out where I want them. And I'm looking at how thick this is. Okay, this one's the thinnest, so I'm going to put it in there if I can find a good place to put it. Let's see, so we've got that portfolio, or folio. Oh, I know what so what I was doing is using these things to cover up pages that I didn't like. That's what I was doing. So this one, yeah, I'm not super crazy about it. So I'm gonna, and I like this paper. I don't like my choice of ink on it. That's why I don't like this paper. Somebody made a comment that that was their favorite one, but I love the chairs, but I don't like this fuchsia with this salmon colored pink. So that's my objection to it. So I'm going to cover it up. And I know pieces on there, but in theory it's still there because this can be lifted up. So I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac because there's a ribbon there, and glue it in with that. And put a clamp on it. So I had plenty of room. So I'm going to put some space at the bottom and the top, clamp it. A big clamp on it there, and let that get good and dry. Okay, so there is the notepad. Actually, I know what I could do. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more stamping on here, and I'm going to use, I don't want white on the back of these tags, so I'm just going to do some stamping here. And I'll fast forward because you don't need to watch all this in slow motion, do you? Okay, so I've got those, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink around these, and I need to punch the holes. All right, I'm going to punch these holes, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm using this little hole punch I got at an office supply place, and I'm going to go ahead and punch these. For these little tags, I like the smaller hole better than the standard hole, hole punch that you get in the office, but it will work. If that's all you have, use that. And put your ribbons in. It's just another excuse to get to use your pretty ribbons and things. Or even you can tear strips of cloth and use that. So I don't know about you guys, but my flower garden has been beautiful so far. My peonies are blooming, and the iris are blooming, and it's, every year it gets better and better. And this was a good year, so it's been a while. I've been working on this garden and planting and planting and planting and waiting for things to get big. And especially the peony bushes. I was kind of late to the game on planting those, and they take a while to really, become big enough to have an impact. And so this year they are, and it's been good. I've got peach colored ones and pink, white, and I'm waiting on the dark red to bloom, and some kind of different variations. There's an orange Hawaiian something, coral or something that I have had, and it's finally big enough to be beautiful. And I have a hosta bed out and back, and the hostas are, some of them are getting bigger and more beautiful, but some of them, that we had a drought, and boy, I did not water enough. So I did lose some stuff. My own fault. And hopefully this year I will get on it sooner, because it does seem like we're in sort of a cycle of dry weather. So I know later in the summer it's going to be something I have to watch out for. Oh, I also wanted to mention I have a kit called Thought Life. It's my very first one I did. So I don't have a King James version of tags. It's a mix of different versions of the Bible, but it's it's a mental health journal. It's all about what the Bible says about anxiety, depression, fear, things like that. And so if you have, if you have trouble with that and you need some help, that's a really good journal to make. Or if you know somebody, sometimes we want to make journals, and it's fun to make them, and then you make all these journals and you're like, now what am I going to do with them? These journals are meant to minister to you, but also to other people. So because they have the Word of God, He said, my word will not return to me void. So you can give these journals away to people. If you know anybody that's struggling with depression or fear or anxiety or any of that, you can make the journal and give it away. And it's, I think it would be helpful. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. All right. Well, gotta do the backs. Okay, so there's the inking. So now we just need the string. And you can use your any kind of ribbon you want to, obviously. But I like this thin baker's twine for these because they're so small. So I've got a lifetime supply of this green. So I was talking to a friend of mine. We were talking about, like, what are your strengths? What do you like to do? What are you good at? Things like that. And I was telling her about this book that we did when I worked for a big corporation, and there was a time when everybody was doing this book called Now Find Your Strengths. And I forget the corporation that put it out, but everybody was doing it. You get the book, and it has a code in it, and then you go online and you take this test, and it will tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And I was trying to remember what my number 1 strength was, and I couldn't think of the word. And I said, well, it's kind of like instigator. My friend goes, I don't like the sound of that. And so I could not think of it. And finally I looked it up online and it's activator. So that was my number one thing, was activator. And it's true, I do love to start things and get things going. And if I'm not careful, I can be one of those ready, go, set people. So I have to kind of slow my roll down sometimes. If you haven't done that test, it's pretty old. It's been around for like 20 years now, but they've redone it, revamped it, and made it better. And it's out there. I looked to see if they still had it, and it's out there with a new version. And it's kind of fun to see. And it was pretty accurate, I thought. And the people that did it at work, when I looked at theirs, I could totally see that it was accurate. So anyway, for what that's worth, that was on my mind. All right. So there are the tags. Forget now, there's, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. 15 of the little tags. And that is it for this video. I'm going to stop and we'll come back next time and we will make the 4 flap box fold, which I've already started to kind of cut out. I was trying not to get too far ahead of myself, but it is going to be the next thing. So anyway, thanks for watching and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.